slowly withdrawing. The European bison knew I was there, and he was not happy about it. I'm on my way to the Białowieża Forest. You can talk about this forest for hours. It is the best preserved natural lowland forest in Europe. Priceless for scientists, naturalists, local communities, for all organisms living in this place, and for the nature itself. You can observe unique processes there, the multitude of plant and animal species, many of which are really rare. It is not without a reason that this is an object inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. This episode is devoted to the Białowieża National Park, which represents only 70% of the entire Białowieża Forest. It would be unreasonable and unfair to move only around the area of the national park, omitting the rest of the forest. Besides, I deeply believe that soon the whole Białowieża Forest will be a national park, so dividing this episode into two would not make sense. So we will get to know different places in the entire Białowieża Forest. I am in Białowieża and I took a map to think about places to visit. Of course I will try to walk in the largest area of the forest, but I think that in this episode we will see mainly these places. The Royal Oak Trail, European Bison Show Reserve, of course the strictly protected area, and the Place of Power. Okay, there is no time to lose, I'm taking a backpack and I'm going on the trail. The Royal Oaks Trail is a very short path, but it is definitely worth seeing. I parked in the car park between the villages of Pogorzelce and Teremiski. And now I will just go where the sign leads me. The trail leads to trees, hundreds of years old oaks, which were named after the rulers. As you can see, you can't get lost on the trail. We are led step by step and limited from both sides by ropes. And the information boards that stand next to each oak contain information not only about the tree itself, but also about the man from whom it took its name. So it is a natural historical path. The trail is easy, very easy, but also really picturesque. And for me it is amazing to walk among trees that are even almost 500 years old. 500 years old! By the way, okay, it is a normal age of a tree. It should be common for a tree to live to such age. Unfortunately, it isn't. Nowadays we can rarely admire trees of such age. They look beautiful. They are huge, monumental, with these curved branches, deep furrows in the bark, like on an old man's skin. Amazing, beautiful trees. It's really worth seeing them. Along the path there are also oak saplings, which are growing up with all the strength. Perhaps these trees will live to see their own poles in 200 or 300 years. Beautiful. Another day. I'm leaving Białowieża. Today I'm going to the European Bison Show Reserve, but I will basically visit 3 important places. The Bison's Ribs Path, a show reserve, and the Trail of Trees in the Landscape Reserve of Professor Schaffer. The Bison's Ribs path starts very close to Białowieża. I barely took refuge in the shade of the local trees and I can already see the path ahead. The Bison's Ribs is an easy path to follow. As you can see, in a large part it is a footbridge, but it crosses the beautiful forest landscapes. Different types of forest that we can admire from it. That's what we should focus on. In places where the trail is not a wooden footbridge, it is still comfortable, wide and well marked. The road stretches for almost 3 kilometers and was built in 1980. However, it was renovated in 2016. Although it is not long, it surprises with the diversity of landscapes. Every meter of the forest is different. The terrain is diverse, the vegetation is varied and amazing, regardless of whether it is alive or only giving life. What a forest. I doubt that we would see animals here, except for birds and invertebrates. There are a lot of flies and mosquitoes here. But this is the forest we are to see here. The home of all these creatures, the place where they live, which gives them everything they need, which is so perfectly inscribed in their functioning, just as they are inscribed in its functioning. That's what it's all about. Animals, we don't necessarily have to observe only them. Let's also take a look at the forest. bison's ribs path ends here. Too fast in my opinion, because I was so delighted with it. Now I have reached the European Bison Show Reserve. It is a place often visited by tourists, but it is simply reminiscent for a zoo, with the exception that we can look at animals that carefully sneak past somewhere unnoticed in the forest around us. I prefer to watch wild animals somewhere in the wilderness, but I will check what this reserve looks like. I left and finally I came back to the forest, this time on the Trail of Trees. It also coincides with the Yellow Trail, which I will use to return to Białowieża. Following this road, I'm passing through a fragment of the landscape reserve of Professor Władysław Schaffer, which stretches along the road connecting Hajnówka and Białowieża. It is about 17 kilometers long. It is a valuable area where you can see many trees with monumental sizes and look at different types of forest. The Trail of Trees is just 4 kilometers long, so it is not that long, and it is an easy path just for tourists who want to get from Białowieża to the European Bison Show Reserve. Both the trees growing up and the ones that have already rested on the ground are fascinating here. The trail ends at the Białowieża border and goes to the main road. This trip will be shrouded in mystery. I like fantasy climates, druids, powers in stone circles, unknown forest creatures, etc. Besides, I realize how little we know about the world. That's why my imagination works, and I could come up with more than one story about the place I've just started heading to. At the beginning, I was once again attacked by an insect which was difficult to escape from. This time, the common horsefly bit me in my hand. It is an insect that can often be extremely irritating, and its bite is accompanied by a slight pain which does not resemble a mosquito bite. I know how my body will react to it, which I will show a little bit later. Only the eyes of the horseflies can make a greater impression than their stubbornness and persistence. I decided to get rid of this company and go on. The place of power is located about 5 kilometers from Białowieża in the middle of the forest and was discovered by accident. Apparently, people feel different positive feelings there, some more, others less. Sometimes their pain stops, which may be associated with a different sensitivity to the sensation of such energy. The place of power was checked by dowsers, and they also found energy accumulation in this area. A lot can be said about this place and its secrets, about the pagan temple that stood here, about the rituals performed, or about watercourses that run under this area. However, it is a place that is popular among tourists and is eagerly visited by them. Indeed, there are also trees growing here, which trunks fork right above the ground. It is supposed to be caused by the energy of this place. It is said that it is difficult for people who are particularly sensitive to the energy to enter the circle. Its arrangement is mysterious, and besides large stones which can be seen at the first glance, there are supposedly smaller stones underneath the layer of humus. It is not known whether mysterious rituals were performed here or not, but it is possible. It is also a riddle what rituals may have been performed here, but once in this primeval forest there were many places of worship. I will add in secret that once I heard that the energy of this place is not a good, but a negative energy. I don't know which version to believe, and I cannot judge it myself, which is why I neither confirm it or deny it. I'll just go into the forest. That's what my hand looked like after the bite of common horsefly. The swelling persisted for several days, but then it gave in. And finally, the icing on the cake, which is strictly protected area of Białowieża National Park. You can enter it only in the presence of a guide and after buying a ticket, and there everything is decided by nature itself. Everything is born, lives and dies as it should, in harmony with nature. The entrance to the reserve is clearly marked with a large oak gate from 1930. It feels like I'm entering an enchanted garden. Well, it does in a way. The strict protection area passes through a precisely designed road. If a tree falls on it, the trunk is cut out along the width of the path so that it can walk freely, and the rest is left as it lies. The forest in this place has not been planted by man and has never been cut down. In today's world it is almost unimaginable, but here it is real. If it were not for human interference, every forest would look like this. It is beautiful, diverse, seemingly chaotic, and full of diverse life forms at all stages of development. Beautiful place, completely different air, microclimates, incredible. I have already left the strictly protected area, but I am still in the Białowieża Forest, although this is the penultimate day. However, I wanted to pay attention to something that is present in this forest in a relatively large amount compared to the majority of forests in Poland. You can easily find so-called dead wood, that is dead and decaying parts of trees. While in the commercial forest there is a relatively small amount of it, because from the point of view of making money it is a waste, in the natural forest it can sometimes constitute even half the volume of wood in a given forest stand. It is extremely important, useful and needed for the ecosystem. It increases the surface of the forest. For many organisms it's a place of life, reproduction, food. When the trees are still standing, it makes excavating the nest holes easier. Around itself and in all its cavities or crevices, it creates valuable hiding places and microclimate extremely necessary for the survival of many species. Finally, it decomposes, slowly transforming itself into other organisms that feed on it, into the soil, into the forest and its inhabitants. Perhaps slowly, but surely with dignity, giving a lot to surrounding environment. The forest, where there is a lot of dead wood, is the most alive. At the end, I went to the forest, hoping that I would find the bison. I didn't expect success though. I saw that something was just passing the path. And suddenly he appeared. A large, powerful bison that emerged from among the trees unexpectedly close to the path. Bisons are peaceful animals, but it is worth noting that they weigh several hundred kilos, and you shouldn't come too close if they don't want to. I'm slowly withdrawing. The European bison knew I was there, and he was not happy about it. He gave gentle signals of his concern. The bison calmed down a little. But I will not abuse his hospitality and I'll move away. Time for a break. Białowieża Forest is an unusual place, beautiful and of high natural value, which is really worth seeing, worth visiting and worth exploring. You can see here what the forest should really look like. You just have to delve into it, feel it, and getting to know it can be not only very pleasant but also interesting. It's worth coming here, and I'm going to come back here. Now I will just sit for a moment and move on.